So most people I talk to about AI and that AI is capable of reading emotions from faces, they really get scared. Raise your hand if you think you get scared as well. So most of the people? Okay. Please follow the journey with me today. Try to put all negative associations aside for a second. I would like to take you on a journey, and I would like you to close your eyes for a second. Don't worry, it's a safe place. But close your eyes. Now imagine you're blind. You have this one little project you have been working on day and night over the last couple of weeks, and you would like to present that project to some people you will meet in a few minutes. Those people are Sarah and Ben. They're going to join you. They're just entering the room, sitting in front of you. Now you would like to convince them that this one thing is really the big thing they should listen to. But remember, you're blind. So you have no visual clues how to interpret the reactions towards what you're saying. Now you decide to say, I need to turn to artificial intelligence. I would like AI to help me. Now listen to what AI would tell you about the people in the room.
I see two faces, 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised, 20-year-old woman looking happy.
I hope you didn't fall asleep now, so you can open your eyes again. So a team from Microsoft, together with Carnegie University, teamed together to create an app which is called Seeing AI. Seeing AI is capable of understanding the age of a person, the gender of a person, and the emotions. So how does AI actually work in recognizing that kind of emotions in the face? AI uses landmarks in the face. It uses the corner of the eyebrows, for example. It uses the tip of the nose. It uses the corner of the mouth to understand the positioning, and uses pixel in those regions to understand and to match it with facial expressions. To give you a number so you understand how the models work, one of those vendors in the market built a model which used 6 million images to be able to predict emotions. 6 million images. Now look at the diversity of this world. We need to take culture as well into account. So it's about 6 million images of 87 countries. So it's a huge data set. It's not that easy. But that's not the only thing you need to understand other people. So it's only one part of it, facial expression. The next part is gesture, like, hey, stop, don't move towards me. Or, hey, come, join me for a second. Or it's body language. What do you think this will going to tell you? Or, hey, welcome. Body language and tone of voice, that's the fourth part. So let's focus on voice for a second. Imagine you would be in a call center working in one of these huge office spaces with hundreds of people chatting all the time with all that noise. It's that kind of job where you get really low wages, low social prestige, and it's just hard work all the time. And it has been a really exhausting day. You're tired, but this last call comes in. And the caller says, putting all the nasty words to you, he's really aggressive, he's angry, shouting at you. I would really say, hey, hang up, don't do the call again. Check for your own health, take care of your own health. It seems that a US startup just had that use case in mind when they built an application which is able to intercept the communication between the call and the call center. So we actually are able to identify what is called speech paralinguistics. Speech paralinguistics is just hard work to speak out. It's something which tells us something about anything which is not a spoken word in communication. So it's about speed and rate, for example, the rate of words you use. And you know, we all speak at different speed levels. It's about quality. No, not that kind of quality. It's about the quality which says something about what's unique about your voice. And it tells you something about tonality, intensity of what you're saying. So with all that information in mind, you can really decide what you could do with that kind of call. The software now tells the call center agents more about how to deal with the call. It tells you exactly what to do and how to treat that and to get over it. And of course, there's much more in the voice, as we know. We see a lot of healthcare companies currently working with voice as well. As you know, voice could be an indicator for depression. Voice can be an indicator even for a stroke. So it's possible to detect changes in your voice and to predict that your likelihood of having a stroke in a few weeks. Isn't that life-saving? So now that we know more about the facial expression, now that we know more about how we can work with voice, let's turn to the third part. It's body language. Maybe you're one of those lucky persons who have one of the modern cars, own one of the modern cars. I usually travel from Salzburg to Zurich at least once per week. I usually take the train, it's more comfortable for me, but sometimes I'm too crazy and take the car. It's like those kind of kamikaze tours, you know. So I usually start at 8 or 9 in the evening, trying to drive as fast as I can, driving as much into Zurich as I can, but I usually end up in falling asleep. So the last time I did that and I rented a car, a very modern car, I was really shocked up by a huge noise. It was like, hey, I want to sleep. But the car alerted me during the drive and said, hey, you're falling asleep. So my lids closed longer than a second, and the car recognized it, warning me and saying, hey, you need to have a break now. Take a nap, take some time outside, don't drive anymore. I loved it. So this is one part a car could actually tell you. A car can actually also understand your emotions. So if you get into more aggressive driving style, the car could tell you, hey, it's time to cool down. Now try to say cool down to someone who's angry. Yeah? So I guess the car might have some better ways to tell me that. So this is one part. So how does body language work with AI? As you can see from the images, the AI actually looks at corners, very important key parts of the body. It's like the face, the shoulders, the arms, and the legs. And even it's possible to understand what's left and what's right. So looking at the cars today, the vehicles, autonomous vehicles, it's clearly can be said that without AI, that wouldn't be possible. Autonomous driving is just impossible without it. I remember my first lessons when I was about to get the driving license. It was a nightmare to drive outside. With all that information, the surroundings, it was just killing me. Now imagine that the car needs to understand all that information. And the car needs to take into account, if you're passing by a street, that pedestrians are walking along. Now think of all the pedestrians in your daily life, and if someone from them just decides to cross the street suddenly, the car needs to recognize the change of intent, needs to be aware of how to deal with that. And from the second image, you can see, if you think about an industry which is coming up, so a robot industry for taking care of elderly people, we see robots which must be able to understand emergency cases. So this is also one application. Yeah, I'm about to have a date with her. Yeah? No, not seriously. But when I plan the date, I would talk to someone who knows her, give me some insights about her habits and how to meet her, what makes her feel comfortable. So with AI, it's much easier. You don't have to talk to someone, because AI today is able to predict personality. It gets even more scary, doesn't it? And it does it with just 500 to 600 words only. Now imagine a piece of paper with 500 and 600 words. How little text is necessary to predict personality. And personality can be predicted with 80% accuracy. So 80% accuracy, or accuracy is a term we use to say it's very likely that the personality you get is really the personality of her. So next time I have a meeting next week with 4 other people I haven't met before, I'm going to turn to AI to tell me more about what they are from a personality type. And AI could tell me something like how we love to communicate with other people. So are those people more fact-driven? Are those people more emotional, so looking at the big picture of things? or it tells me something about motivation. Is it something we like the big picture? So we like to think about career perspective, the big goals or so. Or it can tell me how to work with those people. This is also one aspect. AI could tell me. And it takes just seconds to prepare the next meeting. Now let's go the last mile with AI and think a little bit about the future. So now that we've heard how we can use AI with facial recognition, emotional recognition, what we can do with voice recognition and body language, there's a last mile to go with our thoughts in the brain. I want you to imagine the following situation. You're standing in a hospital at the end of a bed, and your loved one is in the bed. So she has been severely injured from an accident. She's paralyzed, so unable to move any body parts anymore. And you can see from the open eyes, she's fully aware of the environment, just unable to speak. Now, think a second how desperate that situation really is, how heartbreaking that situation is for everyone in the room, even for both who love each other. Now, you should know that researchers have found a way to figure out how to find brain areas and match them with words and sentences. So it's just in the beginning, it's just the infant steps of research at the moment. But the ultimate goal would be to find a way to decode the places and to understand what the people want to say. Another research team is looking at brain activation patterns to match it with images. Actually, the thing you can see in the slide. So we show images to people, look at the brain activation patterns, and try to reconstruct the images using that brain activation, that patterns. So we're trying to figure out what you actually imagine, what your visual pictures you have in mind. Now, being a researcher and a product developer myself, sometimes the ability, what you could do, is really scary for me as well. So I can see both sides of it. It's like you see the evil, you see the good part of it, and trying to have that internal battle, the fight always when you build things. For me, it became a main principle where I said I need to have something in mind which says me, I want to build something with ethical by design, which means taking ethical considerations into the product development process right from the start, without any stop. For me, artificial intelligence is something I say will augment us. It will never substitute us as human beings. And my personal message to myself sometimes is, before I start to think about how technology might help me, I try to figure out how can I improve as a person. Thanks for your attention.